Let's get some work done today.
Open up, you open up. Bitch, you want baby Emma. We should be closer than friends.
Hey guys, so I'm back with another video. My hair is wet because I rinsed out the Cream of Nature. I'm going to retwist my hair. My scalp was itching way too much with that product, and on top of my scalp itching, the curls were starting to flatten to my scalp, which was having me out here looking crazy. So I am going to talk to you all about a few things while I twist my hair. This video is more so about the review of the Netflix review than it is about me twisting my hair. But at least you can see I go from the back up to the crown, and then I start on the sides and move up to the part. So just get into it, you know. Today I'm going to be using my boo, the Moisture Miracle Coconut Oil, and that word I can't pronounce, leave-in conditioner, and my 5 essential oils, and Extreme Wet Line. So I am going to get started, and I'm going to put you guys on mute and watch some TV, and then I will get back to you after I finish this back row. I'll come back and we will review the movie Self-Made. Well, miniseries, I guess it is, right? We will review the miniseries Self-Made. I'll be back. Look at that definition that the Wet Line Gel gives me. I'm still looking for the curl pudding, cream, etc. butter that will give me that same definition. So if y'all are aware of one, please put it down in the comments below, because Wet Line just does something to me. Okay. So we're going to talk about Self-Made. I got my notes, and we're going to just do a little discussion. Washing. If you disagree with anything I say, just know this is my opinion, my observation. I didn't do any extra research on Madam in an effort to debunk some of the things that they were saying in the movie. I am very well aware of the fact that some of it is just not true. So don't come for me in the comments. Okay. Sorry, this spoiler alert. So if you haven't seen this, go watch it and then come back to this video and watch my review. Please do not get mad at me for spoiling the ending. Or she lived, she died, we already know. So you know the ending. But there's some things in there that are not in history books and may not even be true. So if I talk about them and you want to see it, you should probably watch it before you watch this. Enough said. Okay, so back to what I was saying. She starts off, we're watching her attempt to give her story and sell products, right? Sell a hair product that's going to make your hair grow, a product that I need right now because I have a bald spot in the middle of my head, which we will talk about in another video. So stay tuned. Look out for something that says, let's talk about my bald spot, or it'll probably say, let's talk about why I'm bald, or something like that. Just look out for it. I'm sorry. If I do that, it's because I'm eating this savory Utz party mix, and it's so good. If you don't like chewing, I understand. I'm a misophonic, so I don't like chewing either. Oh, child, my scalp still itches. Okay. So she talks about her first husband and how he got arrested, and when he came back from jail, he was a different person than the person that she married. And so he did things to her that hurt her and hurt her daughter. And so they got a divorce and they moved on. This is a story that we've all heard before. Some of us have even been through it. I thank God I don't have any kids and I've never been married, so I've never had to go through this specifically, but I can definitely relate to the thing, okay? I can relate to somebody being somebody when you met them and being somebody else completely by the time you leave them. But again, another video. So she's distraught. She's at home. She's crying. Whatever. She meets a woman. A woman comes knocking on her door named Addie. Addie Monroe. Addie Monroe is the light-skinned savior who's going to change her life. She's going to make her hair grow. She's going to make her feel beautiful. Make her feel pretty. She's going to have long hair down to her back. Right? And so, they fast forward and she gets remarried and she marries a man named CJ Walker. Okay. And they want to move from Indianapolis to St. Louis and pursue her career of selling hair care products, because the woman who's supposed to help her ended up hurting her, and she told her that she would never be able to sell her products because she doesn't have the right look, basically saying that as a mulatto she sells her products based off of the fact that she's beautiful. She's selling a dream. And a woman of pure African descent could never be as beautiful as she is and be able to sell her products successfully. Sarah goes out, she steals from Addie the product, and then she's, attempts to sell it, and then is successful. And when she makes money, she brings the money back to Addie, and Addie's like, you gotta go. So she leaves, she moves to St. Louis, and she starts her own hair care company and salon. She popularizes the hot comb, and she makes all this money, and it's pretty good, right? Okay, that's episode 1. Before we go any further, I forgot to say this. So the movie is starring Octavia Spencer, marvelous actress. It's also starring the one and only Blair Underwood, and I say it like that because if you've ever seen Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, you know how Carlton Banks says it. He's like, is that Philip Banks or Blair Underwood? And it's still funny, so that's why I laughed. And there's other people in it. Tiffany Haddish is in it. The man that plays Ransom, he is good. I don't know his name, but he was really good. So what I want to say about that first episode is that it drew me in. I was immediately attracted to the storyline. I immediately wanted to know more. I immediately was ready to dive right in and see how this is all going to play out. And I definitely wanted it to be more than 4 episodes. Right? Yeah. Okay, so by the end of the first episode, we see Madam CJ Walker come into her own. She has incorporated her entire family, including her husband, her daughter, her son-in-law, her father-in-law, and some close friends from back home. I think they're from back home. It was never really made clear if those were people who moved with her or if she found them when she got to St. Louis. But she has established a business with these people. These people are helping her with her advertisement. They're helping her with her making of the product. And they are helping her really in any way that you can imagine. She is the brains, but they are the rest of the body. The body does not move without all of its parts. Right? Right. So, she is coming into her own, and then stinky behind Addie Monroe moves herself to St. Louis and tries to comfort her. At which point, Sarah says, all right, sis, no problem. You want to come and make the biggest, baddest hair salon and try to compete with me? Just know that I'm going to make a factory. And that way I can produce more product. I can do more, make more, and sell you out the water. I'm big, you're small. I'm smart, you're dumb. You know. You know the rest. And I was hooked, baby. I wanted to watch this thing all the way through. I said, all right, let's buckle down because we're watching this all today. So we get to episode number 2. And she's trying to get these bankers to invest in her factory. She's already put down some money on it that she will not get back. And she is operating out of pure faith. I'm sorry. Let me backtrack to episode 1 real quick because I just want to make a comment about what occurs in the church. They're both trifling for this one. During service, Addie Monroe gets up and she solicits the congregation. You do not do that. That is against the Bible, but it is also just ethically and morally wrong. You don't do that. We're here to worship and you're telling me about some hair care product. If you don't go ahead somewhere. Okay, now that I've gotten that out of my system. So, she's trying to find bankers. Because she is a woman and it is the early 1900s, nobody's checking for her. Nobody's trying to give her no money. Right? People got to think about it. There's this, there's that. Oh, we see who wears the pants in this relationship. Every time her husband tried to talk, she shut him down. My business, my company. Belittling him, making him feel emasculated, right? Now, I'm not saying she was wrong for taking pride in her company. But like I said, everybody is a part of a system. Everybody. Whatever you do that you're successful at, that you're great at, you cannot do it on your own. You either need perfect example. I make bracelets. This is a simple bracelet, right? I had to put this bracelet together. But this bracelet would not come together without each glass bead being crafted by a person and or a factory of people. Without the little bead being dipped in some gold somewhere and put out for me to purchase. Or without the elastic, right? It would also not be possible if I couldn't go to Walmart and pick this up, or go to Amazon and order it online, or whatever. And I would not be able to read had it not been for my parents. You understand what I'm saying? We're all a part of a bigger system. None of us have just made it on our own out of nowhere with no help from anyone ever. And so because she didn't give him the credit that he deserved, things started to escalate, right? Right. Okay. So, let me tell y'all what really, really got under my skin. Madam CJ's son-in-law was the ops. And he was a snitch to Addie Monroe. For what? For some cocaine cola? What's it called? Cocaine cola? Right? Like, are you serious? For a couple extra dollars so you could open your club that never got open? Boy, bye. What'd you do with the money? Take care. Anyway, so let's move on. So because she wasn't able to get the black bankers or the black backers for her factory, she moves on, right? She moves on to Booker T. Washington. And in the process of her preparing to move on to make her proposal to Booker T. Washington, by the way, from what I was listening to on a podcast, Addie Monroe never followed her to St. Louis. That never happened in real life. And the whole Booker T. Washington thing, period, never happened. I will say that they painted two narratives in this miniseries. One is that light-skinned people are the devil, and I will explain why. And two is that Booker T. Washington was sexist, bigoted, nasty individual who only cared about the advancement of black men and not black women. I wasn't there. I don't know. I don't know that to be true. I wasn't there. However, I don't recall him ever fighting for women's rights in this country. Like I said, wasn't there, but that's not the story they tell us. So it wasn't a stretch to me that they did that. Because society back then was men first, women second, and then black last, right? So if you were a black woman, you had two things going against you: your blackness and your womanness. And that's on period. So I don't really want to bore you guys, because if you watched it, you already know what happened. So this is the episode where one of the investors who she made a proposal to tries to come on to her and tries to rape her. And because, thank the Lord, she had a gun, he was unable to do so, but she was still, frazzled, and she never told her husband. And her father-in-law says to her, don't tell him, because should you tell him, what does that do for us? What does that do for any of us? It's not good for any of us if you tell him. While I understand the sentiment of what he was getting at, your husband could go to jail, your husband could get mad at you, your husband could do something he'll regret, and then y'all got to pick up and leave and start over somewhere else. I get it. You can't pacify someone who's been a victim. If you pacify them, you're only hurting them. And in turn, it may hurt you depending on how that victim reacts. So that was an issue for me. But I thought it was depicted well for the time. Booker T said something about being separate and equal in one of his speeches. And if any of y'all are historians or just happen to have looked it up and know, please let me know if he really said that in real life, if that was something that was documented that he said. I'm just curious. I have my thoughts on separate and equal. And that's another video for another time. So if y'all want to hear about that, we can dive into that. Let's just say I neither agree nor disagree with what he said. Okay? Okay. This is also the episode where Ransom gives $500 or $600 to Sarah to support the opening of her factory. And when I tell y'all that Ransom had my heart, he had my heart because his intentions were just always good. And I just want to know if he was a real person. He's just my favorite. We also meet Sweetness in this episode. Sweetness is Ransom's cousin, and Sweetness is played by Bill Bellamy, who I love. Bill Bellamy has had my heart since he did that stand-up where he was, I think there was a pool table in the background. If you know, you know. Ever since he did that stand-up special, I have been in love with Bill Bellamy. He's probably old enough to be my father, but I don't really care because he's beautiful and he's funny, and I love a good funny man. So, Sweetness was played by Bill Bellamy. We're introduced to Sweetness, and as soon as they say his name, I'm like, oh, he's gonna be like bad. And sure enough, he's quote unquote bad, which later in the show is explained that he's doing what he can. He had gifts that no white person was ever gonna allow him to use, so he used them the way he could. Which is probably, I don't know, this might be controversial to say, but it's probably the early mentality of the quote-unquote urban minority drug dealer, right? I have all these gifts, I understand math, I understand business, I understand supply and demand. However, no one's allowing me to use these gifts. I'm not getting the right opportunities because of where I live, because of where I come from, what I look like, what my last name is, etc., etc. And so I can kind of see that mentality turning into, I'm going to do what I got to do to get by using the gifts that God gave me. I can see it. Not saying it's right. Not saying I agree with it. I'm just saying I understand it. So I was really happy I met Sweetness in this episode. Okay, this is the episode where Sarah's daughter gets a little lesbian action going on, right? The photographer girl's like, "Oh, you beautiful. Ooh, mommy." She ain't say mommy, but I will let you know. I'm just tell you right now. I don't care if it's out of order or in order or what. I did not like that homegirl was her love interest because she was too much of a free spirit and she was all talk. Let's do this, let's do that, let's travel the world. I love you. She's an artist first. Most artists that are like deeply into their art and their art is their career, it's really hard for them to settle down. She ain't settling down with you, sis. And so, she made her promises that she couldn't keep, right? She was going to move to New York, get to the train station, and she's not there. She's not coming. Whatever. On to the next mama. So, that's my thoughts on that. Booker T. Washington says, Negroes can't afford to spend money on cosmetics. He basically believed something noble, which is that we have bigger things. We have bigger fish to fry. There are bigger issues at hand that we should be putting our money into than hair supplies. Don't you understand, Booker? Everyone. I need everyone to understand this one. Your appearance is a part of who you are. It is a part of how you see yourself in the world, and it is a part of how the world sees you. If you decide to walk out of your house looking any old kind of way, it's a reflection of how you see yourself and your value in the world. And that's period. That is not up for discussion or debate unless you do not have it. However, I can tell you, as someone who does not have it, I do my best to look my best on a regular basis. I try my hardest to find things that are affordable for me, that will still have me out here looking like a snack. Because I want to look like a snack for me. Because I value myself. So, say that to say this, he was wrong for that. He was dead wrong for that. Business is business, and if it grows the economy for one black person, and she's employing other black people, guess what? It's growing the economy for all of us. It's putting all black people on the map, regardless of what your business is. It's putting black business on the map, and keeping it there and making it a force to be reckoned with. And I think that was a major mistake that was made there. Okay. Very last but not least on this episode. Last and least, I should say. This is the episode where Mr. C.J. Walker decides that because his wife is mad at him because he lied to her, right? He misled her and had her to believe that that he had this marvelous positive conversation with Booker T. Washington in the bathroom where it didn't go that way. He pulled a gun on him and he felt like his life was threatened. So that's not the way things went. And she's upset with him. And because he's already upset with her, her being upset with him only adds fuel to the fire. And so when this little fast thing comes up to him and asks him to go to the club, he down to go. He should have said no. That's what he should have did. But alas, here we are. He went. He was touching all up on her and dancing with her and doing things that married men don't do, for the record. In case you were wondering, you needed a hint or clue, something. Married men don't do. He was doing it all. Okay? He was doing it all. And that was how I felt about that. I'm trying to keep some of my comments to myself just because I don't know if they are politically correct. But I really do feel like, if I could say anything, I really do feel like they were portraying light-skinned devils in this movie. I want to know who like wrote it. Like, I didn't do any research, so just so y'all know. I don't know who wrote it. I don't know who directed it. I don't know. And I don't know that it matters for this purpose. So that's all I have to say on that. Episode 3. It's 1913. And they're in Harlem for the first time ever. Harlem Renaissance, right? It's a good time. It's a good time to be alive. The freedom of New York City. The freedom of an urban area, right? An area where there's so many people with so many different views on life and so many different life experiences that you can't help but be attracted to everything that it is. Harlem Renaissance is a time where I wish I grew up, right? Like, I don't know about you, but every time I hear about it, every time I hear the poetry from that time, every time I hear music from that time, I'm just like, what a time to be alive, right? So, I enjoyed this part of the movie, or the series rather. I enjoyed them getting to see Harlem and growing the business and growing the dreams. I enjoyed watching Madam C.J. Walker expand her business to multiple large cities and really just do her thing as a businesswoman. I loved her drive. I loved her persistence and her intention. I really did. She finally sees that dirty dog for who he is, a cheating little rascal. And she gets rid of him. She, tells him she wants a divorce, and she moves to New York. And now suddenly she's neighbors with the Rockefellers. The scene where she finally meets him. I love that scene. I have no complaints about that scene. I loved it. I thought it was perfect. I thought it was perfectly, I can't think of the word, but executed. Ooh, thank you, Jesus. I thought that it was perfectly executed. I really did. Before I move on, episode 3, impactful. Quote, never run back to what broke you. That's on period. Okay? As you get to know me, you'll know my story, and you will know why that statement is so impactful. Never run back to what broke you. Just don't. It's biblical. I'll find the scripture and I'll put it in the description when I get a chance. It is biblical. And it's just plain old good advice. You don't need none of that mess. Move away from what broke you and move forward, move onward and upward. And that's on period. So in episode 4, my girl's kidneys began to fail. She's trying her hardest to convince her daughter to have a heterosexual relationship so that she can have a grandchild. And I thought this was appropriate for the time, like, it was a harsh reality, but it was a good one. By the end, she's like, you're my daughter and I love you, and if this is what you want, then do what you want, and our legacy will just end with us. And then they adopt this random girl, and I didn't understand really why she was in the movie. I mean, I understand that at the end they say, like, she's the one who inherited the company, but I never heard of her. I never seen her picture before. So obviously she did something not that great. Obviously. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to comment on. I pretty much said all of this. Oh, I thought it was cute that she went to Spelman like she wanted to. Questions that I have now that the series is over. What happened to the girl's rest of that girl's family? Because they're like, oh, I asked her mother if she could stay with us and da 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 da. So, because her mom was poor, she was struggling, she was a single mom, they were going through hard times. She was a sibling to other people. So what happened to them? We don't get to find out. I spilled something on my shirt, and I plan on wearing this shirt out the house. Queen. My final thoughts on the series was that it was probably, I would give it a 3 out of 5, right? Things that could have made it better. More historical facts. Making sense out of things that didn't make sense. If you're going to introduce this girl into the movie, why introduce her in the 4th episode? It didn't make sense. Like, you know how there's origin stories and there's like you can watch something and you'll watch different characters and then towards the end you see how they all connect. They didn't do that. They just threw her in there. She's a model. Okay, now she's our daughter. Okay. And so that was confusing for me. And that's really it. Like, I'm not going to bash it. That's really it. But that's what kept it from being like 4 stars. And what kept it from being like 5 stars is just that, like I said, on the historical piece. And also, I don't know, like, I felt like something that should have been in it was missing from it. And so, you know, I can't give it full stars for that. Because I felt unfulfilled at the end. I understand she was going to die. I get it. Still felt like something was missing. And that's that on that. Okay. Now we're going to dive into the Tiger King. I don't have notes on the Tiger King because it was just too crazy to just even write down. And I just probably won't even talk about it for that long. Let's just say, again, spoiler alert, you're going to find out what happens. So if you don't want to watch this part, you can just end the video here. Or you can go watch it and then come back and watch the video. Tiger King. Tiger King surprised me. I don't know what I was expecting from reading the small overview that they do at the bottom. But I don't think it was this. Like, it was super culty. It was super shady. Sorry, my phone was buzzing. It was super sketchy and just like, it was just like, what is going on here? Like, what am I watching? It's literally how I felt the entire time. What am I watching? Who are these people? Where do they live? Because people where I live don't behave like this. You had 2 people who were basically doing the same thing, attacking each other for doing the same thing. Like, one was claiming to care for the animals and save them from this extinction, and the other was claiming to care for the animals, breed them, and they're saying that they had like not a mosh pit, like a pit where they like burn bodies, and there's murder and sex, and it's like selling a fantasy. It was just pure chaos. I'm sorry. Carol, who are you, ma'am? Carol confused the mess out of me because she would say one thing, but the life she was living was showing me something else. I believed her husband was genuinely trying to save the tigers. I do. Like, not her dead husband, the one that they actually show in the documentary. And I don't know if I like missed something or something, but how did the Tiger King end up in prison? I watched the whole series hoping that they would explain to me how he ended up in prison. I'm pretty smart, and I know if I Google it, I'll find it. But I wanted the show to tell me, since that's why I put it on. And I had to take my time with this show. The show was 7 episodes. It took me about 5 days to watch. I watched about an episode and a half the first day. I skipped a day. When I came back to it, I watched an episode and a half again. Skipped some more. And then I watched 1 episode a day until I got through the whole thing. And it was just like, what? Like, what? Wait, what? Like, it's very traumatic for me. I love animals. I really do. However, I think this one was a little bit too deep for me. I didn't understand where a lot of the feelings were coming from. And then I got to whatever episode they admitted to being on meth. And I was like, you know what? It all makes sense now. You cannot understand because you're not on meth, Regina. So there's nothing for you to comprehend here. They weren't behaving rationally. They weren't behaving in a way that was going to ever make sense to you because they were on crystal meth. So after I accepted that, I was able to just kind of go with the flow. I don't know. The show was just kind of crazy to me. It was a lot to digest, and it was a lot to kind of call it entertainment. Like, I don't think it was entertaining. I think it was informative and a little bit confusing. But at least I know why it was confusing. So what I want you guys to do is comment down below and tell me what your thoughts were. Because I just cannot. I just cannot. Last thing I want to talk about. Did you watch the season finale of The Good Doctor? Because I did. I don't know characters' names, so don't get mad at me. But I was not expecting that gorgeous Latino man to die. So they don't show him dead. They just allude to him being dead when the 2 women embrace each other outside of the hospital room. Right? Right. So, number 1, I didn't want Sean to get with that stupid girl that's been playing him for 3 seasons. Or 2, however many seasons the Good Doctor's been on. I just don't like her. I didn't like his other girlfriend either. But I just don't feel like she is understanding enough of who he is as a person to really value what he could bring to their relationship as a fully functioning person with autism. Right? Like, fully high functioning. Just lacking social skills. But not lacking love or intimacy. That's deep. And so I didn't like that they got together or that they kissed or whatever that's going to mean for next season. I hope that he sees through it and that he's like, nah, girl, I'm good. That is my hope. But that man, I'm really having a hard time with him not being on the show anymore because I feel like, number 1, of course, I love the original cast because that's just how I am by nature. But then also number two, he's such an integral part of the way that they function as a team in that hospital. And so for him to not be there is just weird, I think. It's going to be an adjustment for all of them. And it's going to be hard for all of them. It makes me sad. I cried my brains out for that little black boy when the Asian guy was trying to save him and he couldn't. That was the part that really got me. Was not able to come back from that. First of all, last week when they announced that he wasn't gonna survive the accident, I was sad. But then watching him as he not hallucinated, but misidentified the doctor as his father, and the guilt that he felt about his mom being an addict and feeling like he should have said something sooner, and not that I can like relate to that in that way, but it was a lot. I had a lot of empathy for that situation, and it was hard for me to watch. And then in watching it, I was just like, and then crying, like literally the emotions that I went through during that entire episode. It was a lot. And then he called his son and his wife, and he had that conversation with them at the end, and I was just like, as if I wasn't crying enough already. And it was a beautiful ending to a season in a way, because if you're gonna go out with a bang, right? But at the same time, it was tragic and emotional and a roller coaster, and it was a lot for your girl. So that's another show. I want you to let me know in the comments below if you watched it, if you enjoyed it, if you've never seen the show before. If you've never seen the show before, I want you to consider watching it, because it's very good. It comes on ABC, so if you have anything that streams ABC, you should be able to watch it. And it's worth it. I think it's worth it. It can give you some great insight on people with autism. It may not be 100% accurate for every person with autism, because nothing can be, because every person is different. But it'll give you a lot of insight. As somebody who works with people on the spectrum, as somebody who knows people on the spectrum, it is an incredible watch, and I think everyone should experience it. And I am looking at the television right now because Chad Michael Murray is on, and I love him. But I'm gonna go back to talking to you. So yeah, comment down below. Let me know what your thoughts are on these things that I watched. If you use any of the products that I featured in the beginning of this video, let me know. Let me know if you like them, if you hate them, if you have better suggestions. Before you suggest Cetaphil, I've tried it. It's cool, but I don't feel clean after I use it, which is why it wasn't featured today. But if you have any other products for sensitive skin that don't have lavender in them, let me know. Anyway, this is the end of this video. I'm not done with my twists. When I'm done, maybe you'll see them in a picture at the beginning of the video. I have to go out. I have a client. It's Corona Tuesday. And don't listen to me. Yeah, so I have a client, so I'm gonna take care of my client today and let these twists dry so I can take them out tomorrow for work, or maybe leave them in tomorrow for work, depending on how I'm feeling. Because Sunday they came out so cute that I wanted to just leave them in, but I was trying to be cute for this boy, so I took them out. I'm probably gonna delete that. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Share this video with people you know as I continue to try to grow my channel. I appreciate your support, and I will see you in my next video.